Got the best coaches in the game. We really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Tick your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
All right, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to another Geeks Vegas Lines Daily Fantasy Football and Betting Angles Breakdown. My name is Kevin Allen. I am your host, and I am here with my man, the GOAT himself, sports gambling, sports betting, daily fantasy, top ranked everywhere, the guy who's got the answers. John, Statsational, Alessia, what's up, my man?
What's going on, brother?
Yeah. There we
Sorry,
go.
I made you guys. I made us late today, so I got to apologize for that. A little golf. I had a golf celebrity golf outing with. I think the most well-known celebrity was Chris Leak from the University of Florida quarterback days.
It's a lot more celebrity than my golf outing today on fucking PGA 2K15.
I think I would have rather been playing that. I couldn't have done any worse.
There we go. Really excited for week 11, but I want to talk a little bit about week 10. I want to look back here. And we were talking a little bit about this off air, and week 11, because week 11 is so different from week 10 that I think it's important to point out the contrast between these two slates. And again, before we get into it, we are presented as always by DFS Army, where we turn daily fantasy Joes into daily fantasy pros with the best tools in existence for DFS players. And of course, Sportsbet Army, where John and our team of sports gambling professionals help teach newer players, newer folks how, the art of sports betting and give out their picks each week. Tennis, football, college football, basketball, whatever it is, there's somebody betting on something, MMA, any action, it's over there at Sportsbet Army. Go get signed up, and you can get John's picks. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference, John, between last week and this week. And it's dramatic. Just as we were sitting here trying to pick out the core four games, and it's kind of hard to pick four because no games stand out. Last week was the polar opposite. We had two games that stood out head and shoulders above the rest. And we also had such extreme chalk at the running back position. Not just chalk in terms of, really great plays, but rather just high-owned DFS plays. And there's a massive contrast this week, but you and I were talking off air about how to deal with chalk in cash games versus tournaments. And I wanted to get your take on that. So last week, it was a very obvious, hey, everyone's going to play Mike Davis. Everyone's going to play Aaron Jones. Everyone's going to play Duke Johnson. Our ownership projections at DFS Army had some of these guys well over 50%, and they were correct. Like Mike Davis, 48% owned in tournaments. Duke Johnson in the 30s. Aaron Jones in the high 30s as well. And, we're talking a little bit about off air about how, it was pretty clear that, these guys were going to be high owned. So what do you do in that situation? And John, I'm going to throw this over to you. You're a mass multi-entry player. I am as well. But what do you do in a situation where a player who, like Reed Davis, for example, not in the greatest of matchups, but a value play, somebody who we both didn't expect to score more than 12 to 14 fantasy points. But again, that was enough to get a good value rating on every projection system and optimizer. What do you do in that situation in tournaments?
Yeah, it's tricky. I didn't handle it as well as I had wanted to myself. Last week I talked about it with you where I wanted to just be under the market on that. And I think I wound up being close to the market under, but I probably should have been even more under. The way when it gets to that point where these guys are 40, 50, it's rare in football you find a 60% guy, but we have seen it. You get it in the NBA. Typically, I want to usually, certainly in the NBA, I want to be over that when it's a play. I just want to be at that point. I would just want to be all in if I'm going to mass multi-enter. So in most situations, in the situation we talked about it with Davis, was he was just going against maybe the best run defense in the league. And so that was a situation where I wasn't going to go 0 in 150 lineups, but I wanted to be like between, I think I said 35 to 40%, which is where I was comfortable going. In retrospect, obviously, probably should have gone even less when we knew the upside wasn't 30 last week. And that's where I kicked myself and I'm like, but if he gets you 20, he might get you he might be in the winner, because when you start reaching 50%, even if that guy isn't, flames on DK, he may still be in the winner. So, it's tricky, but I always look for an excuse. When we talked about this, when you're looking at the domination station and then you're sorting it by projected ownership, I just look for an excuse as to, well, what's the scenario where this guy's going to suck? And then if I can't really, and you have to be honest with yourself and truthful, like there's always a situation. Yeah, you get hurt in the first quarter, but I mean, can you really see a scenario? And we saw that with Davis. So I kicked myself for not going lower on him. We saw, even Duke Johnson, we said, hey, he got all those carries the week prior, but he averaged 2.6 yards per carry with it. Yeah. He sucks. There's reasons some of these guys that we could have faded him. Aaron Jones was the one that surprised me though, because I think we all expected Aaron Jones to really smash in that spot.
Yeah, I expected more out of Aaron Jones for sure. And I agree with a lot of your sentiments here. I think we knew going in, first of all, we knew going in that Davis was not going to smash like a high score in that game. The expectation was, though, and he almost got there. The expectation was, hey, he'll get you 12 points. He'll get you 3x on his 4K salary on DraftKings. And that should be enough, certainly in your cash games. In cash games, again, he was a lock button play because it was a free square. Your opponent played him as well. And you don't want to mess with a free square that's cheap in cash. You just play it. Don't worry about what they score and try to differentiate as well. I actually differentiated my cash game by going with Miles Sanders over Duke Johnson because I didn't like Duke Johnson either very much. Overall, the Texans don't really produce a lot of fantasy points to the running back position. Just as a team, they just don't. So I didn't like. I thought he was worse and more expensive than Davis last week. So I just kind of went to Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders had an unlucky game. That's the best I'm going to call it. Like, it was just weird, and so he didn't get there. But I think it was the right move. But reevaluating my process, because I did end up with a lot of Mike Davis in my handcrafted sort of high dollar entries, and reevaluating that process in hindsight, that was an unforced error that I want to correct. We had Bobby Wow on the Showdown Breakdown this week, and on the Monday night, I love it when he's able to come on, and we'll have him on later, by the way, for everybody. Later tonight, we'll be doing a special Where My Turd's At, open to the public with Bobby Wow. So for anybody who's watching this, you'll be able to see it. We'll do the occasional one that's open so everybody can see it. Where My Turd's At breakdown of the Cardinals-Seahawks game. And one of the things that Bobby said very quickly when we were breaking down the Monday night game with Dalvin Cook, the first thing he said was, I'm not playing any Dalvin Cook at captain, not one share. And that, even I know to you, John, will go against your sensibility as I make 300 lineups for these kind of guy. But Bobby's first thought is, nope, not playing even one. And you're going, well, he's Dalvin Cook. How could he scored 50 points last week? He scored 40 the week before. What are you, nuts? Why would you not play him? And so because he's going to be high owned and he's the most expensive guy. And that's just not how I play these. I'm not going to do that. If he smashes, okay, I'll accept it. And I'll move on to next one. But more often than not, that high-priced chalk guy isn't the nuts captain play. There always seems to be some wide receiver, some pass catcher. And actually, we loved Jefferson, and he did smash. So, go back and watch it. I mean, these approaches to tournaments are just the sharper way to play them. Not because it's going to cause you to win every time or min cash more often, but it's going to cause you to win them more often. And so we really need to be cognizant of that when building our tournament entries of, let's use approaches and game theory approaches in our lineup construction that do give us the uniqueness, because the difference between the high owned chalk play at 70% or 50% ownership versus the third best play at 5% ownership, like the chance of the high owned guy going off versus the third best guy going doesn't equal the difference in the ownership. That's something that everybody needs to keep in mind when building tournament lineups. So let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, I touched on that during the, I believe on the Wolfpack show. When you look again, go to the domination station, certainly later in the week when the projections get a little bit more, they're whatever the word is, they're better. I was thinking of a
solidify a little bit. Yeah, our ownership projections right now, by the way, it's Wednesday. It's not going to be.
Yeah, you take a look at them on Saturday, and then when you're looking at it, and I went over this on Friday on that pod, because you had the situation. I believe it was Jones. I was just comparing Jones and Connor, and they were fairly similar price, couple $100 difference. But you have to look at it as, does Jones have a 3-1? Is he 3-1 to outscore Connor? And there's no chance in hell, right? He was definitely projected.
Kamara was a good example last week.
Connor or Kamara, yeah. The Connor was like 3-1 because he was like 26 to 8% or whatever we had it projected as. Kamara was a little higher projected, but even there, Kamara was like another, I think he was $100 more or $100 less, whatever it was. But yeah, do a comparison that way. So when you see a guy who is projected high and you've got other guys comparable in price, if they're 2x, is the true odds really 2 times for that player? So you have to kind of adjust, and you may want to pull back a little bit, maybe on the guy who's projected to be 25% owned, and then add a little. So if one guy's projected 25, one guy's projected 15, maybe you need to be 20 and 20 or something like that. Just these if you're when you're mass entering, and get you, because they're too. Because that's your leverage points.
It's all about probability and the probability of these players going off. You're better off with the leverage. I'm not going to go back to my March Madness example because I've said it a million times. You haven't fucking heard it. I'm not going to say it again. You should have heard it by now. Now, let's talk about this show. Geeks Vegas Lines and Betting Angles Breakdown. Here's how we roll. We're going to take a look at every game from the NFL main slate, Week 11, from a daily fantasy sports and betting angles perspective. John and I have picked out 4 games that we're going to call the Core 4, which we will dive a little bit deeper into. They're ones that stand out a little bit more to us, and then we'll do what we call the lightning round, where we'll go through all of the other games on the slate. I believe there are 11 games on the main slate this week. Feels like there's bye weeks, but maybe not. It feels like there's fewer games than usual, but it's actually not. It's normal bye week action. And one of the things that stood out to me about this week's slate is that it was hard to pick out a core 4 because we don't have those extreme islandy kind of like this game stands out above all others games that we've had in the past few weeks. That excites me. That makes me happy. I like that situation because now we can sort of get a little bit diversified without being too stupid. Like last week, I had a hard time pulling the trigger on anybody but Kyler Murray in every fucking lineup. It was really difficult. I was like, I just want to play Kyler. I don't understand why I would go to someone else. This week, we don't have that situation, which might make cash games a little trickier, but it makes tournament entries a lot more fun and hopefully a lot less chalky. So let's jump right into it. Starting off with the Core 4. All right, here we go. Core 4. Let's bring them up on the screen. First game that John and I have picked out to break out is the Packers against the Colts. The game carries a 51.5 point total with the home Colts. And this is shocking, John, as 2-point home favorites. Now, right off the bat, 2 points, 2.5 points. I was looking at this the other day. It was 2.5. So it's coming down. That's not surprising. and I wanted to bet it, but straight up, I'm telling you, I always come in as what do you call me? Like Joe Q Public of betting. But man, like I want to smash the Packers here like never before. I don't care if it's how many points they're getting. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to play the Packers again on the money line. I think they're just going to win. So what the hell is going on here? Why are the Colts favored when I think the Packers are going to the Super Bowl here? They're like the favorite team on the NFC. What the hell's happening?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. The line looks off, but surprisingly, the money's kind of 50-50, which is scary. I expected the Packers to be getting bet here a little heavier than they have been, but yeah, I kind of like this. I kind of like the Packers side of this game as well.
Yeah, is that fishy? I mean, am I being like, why what's going on here? It seems so obvious.
It does, and it's just. I mean, the defense. We know the Colts could play pretty good defense, but to me, it looks like the Packers are the better team. The home field advantage is nil right now. Like I said, it's maybe 0.4 points or something like that. So this really isn't a home line. I like the Packers in this game.
I agree. All right, so let's actually take a look at this game itself. The Colts have been a spectacular defense this season. There is no questioning that whatsoever. They've limited opposing wide receivers to, I don't think an outside wide receiver has put up more than 60 yards on them all year. The Packers are weak against the run. The Colts do like to run the football, although we don't know who the hell they're going to run it with. So it's like it's really tough to make DFS decisions on that side. And of course, on the flip side with the Packers, Devontae Adams, borderline matchup proof. They're in a dome. There's no wind. Matchup doesn't stand out on paper. It's a good defensive team. But one of the things that I was talking about with the Colts defensively is that the Colts have faced a turterer's row of offenses this season. So mayhaps their defensive statistics are slightly skewed due to the turterer's row of opponents. I'll just name a few here on screen, but we got the Jaguars, the Vikings when they were terrible, Sam Darnold and the Jets. You got the Browns. You got the fucking every team is going to be the number one defense if you face this group. Like, who the hell they face are any good? Baltimore hasn't been good offensively this year. And you know what? When they played against, they had a couple of games. Tennessee didn't score. They did a great job last week. But overall, a lot of this has been a turterer's row of crappy offenses. So how much can we trust the numbers here?
I agree. When they've gotten into games with, teams have scored on them. It's not like you can't score on them. Cincinnati scored on them. The Detroit game was high scoring, right? So I wouldn't put this defense. I guess Detroit only scored 21 on, but I wouldn't put this. It's a good defense. I would put a few other defenses in front of them. But with that said, is it a game? We're trying to look for game. When we pick these core four, we're trying to see what's a really good game stack or potential game stack or game stack that others may have that we might want to fade. This is a tricky one. Like the Colts, as far as stacking, just have, offensively, we just haven't wanted to use much of them at all. I mean, anything. Running back, we don't know what the hell's going on. There's almost no DFS relevant plays on the Colts. I will say this.
If you take a look at the matchup tool, and I was taking a look at this, Hines got like a lot more of the overall workload last week than he had ever gotten before. And it makes you it makes your brain want to believe that, they've now figured it out. And now it's going to be Nyheim Hines. Let me see if I can bring up the matchup tool here. Now it's going to be, so Nyheim Hines last week, it's a 50. Oh, wait, I always forget that it's not on screen. Nyheim Hines last week, take a look at this. He got a 56% snap share, 41% of the rushes, 17% of the targets for the team. And he's got a matchup against the worst rush defense, one of the worst rush defense certainly the Colts have faced all year. So it's like, all right, well, what did the other guys do? Oh, Jonathan Taylor, only 24% of the snaps, and Jordan Wilkins, only 20. Have they finally figured out that it's Nyheim Hines? Is he the guy now, John? Or was that just last week? And next week it's going to change again, and you'll have a Wilkins game and a Jonathan Taylor game. Like, how do you trust these numbers? But the running game for the Colts is where you want to go. But how do you trust it?
Yeah, but I'm not even all that excited, even if I knew it was going to be Hines in this matchup. I don't like the I don't like the running game. I don't like the offenses here. I mean, I'm just a little surprised. I think the total is even higher than I would have put it at. We didn't even talk about the total at 51 and a half. I don't know. This isn't a matchup. It's tricky playing the Colts running backs. Like I said, you've got to not only pick the right one, but they also have to perform that week. And this isn't, this is not a situation where I need to take that risk at running back. So, and of course, we don't like Rivers. I don't really like I don't want their passing game here. They're projected, as far as my projected, both teams are projected pretty close to each other in the 230s on the for passing yardage. So yeah, I'm hesitant here in this game. This is certainly not a 4-man stack game, as that's going to be a theme this week. There's not a lot of those type of games this week. So yeah, I mean, obviously Rodgers is in play here, but I think you want to tread lightly on this game. I don't see this game breaking out. Remember, we're looking for games to bust out to 65 points. I don't see that happening here.
I don't see that here. But I will say, though, Davante Adams still standalone play stands out to me. He's owned Xavier Rhodes throughout his career. And I believe that him and Rodgers are I essentially believe that Davante Adams is pretty well matchup proof. Now, we did see a bad game from Davante against Tampa, and Tampa has a great defense as well, and kind of a similar defense actually to the Colts with a lot of two deep zone coverage. But could this be the game where we shouldn't play Davante? Because my sensibility is always try to jam Davante Adams in. What he's doing is epic, and I don't think it's defensible, or I think he's pretty close to matchup proof.
Yeah, I mean, Adams is tough it's a tough fade because we talked about it before with Rodgers. He'll pepper him, he'll pepper one guy all game, and Adams is his guy. So, you could get a situation where Rodgers doesn't necessarily have the monster game, but Adams is still really viable. So you're going to want to play Adams as a solo play. I think for sure. I wouldn't look to fade Adams in this matchup. Like we said, the matchup with Rhodes is good. I'm not worried about that. He'll get his. So I mean, he could easily have over 100 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns in this game. And Rodgers really, just gets 240 yards total and two touchdowns. So I'm good here, but I would be careful. I don't want to stack too much. Like, I don't want to have a Jones Adams lineup. I don't want to have anything like that, because I just don't. It's going to be, if one of these guys pops, it's just going to be one. I don't see 2 or 3 guys in this game really going off.
I totally agree. I think Adams. One of the things I've been saying every week has been just that Davante Adams can be played instead of Aaron Rodgers. Unlike most other stacks, Davante Adams is such a large part of the Aaron Rodgers passing attack that you don't actually need to play Rodgers. You just play Adams. You get all the Rodgers upside generally wrapped into that one player, unless Martez Valdez-Scantling goes off like he did last week. Now, one last tool I want to show here is the Power Rankings tool. John, this is your tool for DFS Army subscribers. And you can see here, the numbers don't look great for either team. Colts, 98 rushing yards. Nothing stands out here on the Power Rankings tool that says, play this game. So if you needed another reason to not get super excited about this Core 4 game, there's one. So let's move on to the next game in the Core 4. All right, our second selection for the Core 4, we've got the Atlanta Falcons heading south to New Orleans to take on the Saints. 50.5-point game total, with the Saints home 5-point favorites. Now, John, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be in this game, but I think we can all agree or assume, although I can make an argument, I can make a few different arguments, but I think we think it's going to be Jameis Winston for most of this game. with mixed in some Taysom Hill, that seems to be how it probably will go, but we don't know that for sure. And Sean Payton wisely isn't making an announcement because why not make the opposing team prepare for two different scenarios? Just makes sense.
I think they did say something today. I only caught a headline because I was out on the course, but something about Winston's obviously the starter. I think it's just a matter of, can we figure out how much they're going to play? Are they going to split enough snaps? But go ahead. Yeah. I kind of interrupted you there.
Yeah, no, we think so. But I mean, I had this whole long argument with Statsational today. And I said, what are the Saints planning on doing next year? Like, is Taysom Hill, they paid him all this money, like as if they're grooming him to be a starter. Why wouldn't they want to see what they have with Hill and see if he can helm the team for a full game? On the flip side is this an audition? I mean, it's clear that Drew Brees is finished as a quarterback. Love him, great dude, whatever. He's 2 years older than Phillip Rivers. Like, this guy is done. Okay. He came out, he's older than Eli Manning. This isn't a Tom Brady situation. This is his last year in the NFL. So with that being said, the Saints probably want to know what they have in Taysom, or maybe they want to figure out, hey, do we want to re-sign Jameis Winston here? Like, what do they need to know as an organization? So I don't know if it's super obvious there. The flip side is, listen, the Falcons, they find a way to lose games. That's what they do. They're the Falcons. They're also the most generous team to opposing passing offenses in the league right now. As you saw, even the lowly Broncos, helmed by Drew locks onto only one player, doesn't look for fucking Jerry Jeudy, Lock, and he comes out and smashes that defense. So this seems like a blow-up spot. And this game, I think, has some game stack potential. But to start, does this line seem right to you? I mean, can we even really judge a line not fully knowing who's going to play?
Yeah, I mean, we say we don't fully know, but I think what they're going to do is use Winston the same as, I would say he'll get a similar snap count as Brees. He might even get more, to be honest with you, because they might not look to take him out the goal line. I don't know. I've seen enough of Taysom Hill to know he's not a quarterback. So I'll just tell you that. I mean, he could come in and they could run, the little bullshit Wildcat and whatever they run that doesn't work half the time anyway for him. But he's not a quarterback. He's slightly better than Tim Tebow. And that's what he looks like to me when he's out there. So Winston is a monster fantasy. Like, we could all remember to last year. Unfortunately, he's going to throw like 3 picks in this game. But other than that,
what's unfortunate about that?
It's fine. But as long
is one of the cheapest on the board.
As long as he gets exactly. As long as he gets us, four touchdowns, 350, which I feel like he's more than capable of doing. He could light it up with Thomas. I mean, they've got enough weapons there. I'm very bullish on Winston, so I think they're going to be. I think they'll be happy playing Winston in this game. Like I said, he just doesn't. It's what we talked about at the beginning of the year. Like, Tampa's going to be a better team with Tom Brady. They just won't be as good a fantasy team. I think you're looking at a similar situation here. He's going to probably put up better numbers than Drew Brees is, but is the team better? So from a football standpoint, that's probably a no. But I'm loving me some Winston this week.
I like it as well. So let's look at all of the DFS angles that we can sort of get a handle on here. So the first is, of course, Kamara, pass catching running backs versus Atlanta. It's a thing. Running back position has not been very good against Atlanta overall this season. They've been much more attackable via the pass, but the pass to running backs as well, and that's what Kamara does. But we've never seen Jameis Winston delivering the ball to Kamara. We've seen it done by Drew Brees. So I think there's some unknowns, and we see that there's some unknowns in like how many targets Kamara will get in a game like this versus his usual. How many of those plays where Brees throws to Kamara are designed pass plays versus how many times those are check downs. And we don't have a history of Jameis Winston checking down to the running back a lot. When he was in Tampa, no running back ever really had a great game. So it's something I think to keep in mind and wonder if it's system related or if it's quarterback related. And on the flip side, if we're getting sexy goodness from the Saints offense, let's not forget that Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and company are coming to town here, Gurley will have a very difficult time vulturing touchdowns in a game like this against the Saints defense that's very, very good at stopping running backs from scoring touchdowns, which means more passing game action for Matt Ryan. Fine by me. I'll take some of that. So what about the Falcons side of this game, and which pass catchers on the Saints should we focus on? I mean, can we pay up for Michael Thomas after last week's stud? It's a lot of questions here.
Yeah, I'm fine with Thomas. I mean, I know this has been an awful year for Thomas owners if you had him in season long, but I mean, this is just too good a matchup to pass it up. I don't think that physically he looks fine. Like I said, I'm very bullish here on Winston this week, so I'm good with that. I mean, this is a game in itself. This is probably the one game I really like 4-man stacks in this game, and especially because you're getting Winston on the cheap, you're going to be able to do it. Julio coming back on the other side has just got, to me, against Lattimore, he'll light him up. I like that matchup quite a bit. But either of their other guys, the guy that we can't pronounce his name, Zacchaeus or whatever it is, and then and Gage. I mean, you've got so many options here. You talk about Kamara. I wouldn't overthink it too much. I know, that's a Breeze thing. With the checkdowns, Breeze can't throw the ball more than 20 yards. That's the knock on him these days. Really, for most of his career, he wasn't a big down the field thrower. Winston, of course, he could sling it all over the field. He's got the big arm. But if you're the coach, if you're calling plays and you've got a quarterback who's susceptible to the pick, and you've got a team like that, and you've got your best player is either Thomas or Kamara, and you've got first time starting as a quarterback. I mean, to me, I'm gonna kind of lean on Kamara a little bit. I'm gonna be calling a lot of plays for him and get Winston comfortable. I think Kamara catches a bunch of passes in this game, so I'm not going to overthink it. Where I do agree that he didn't throw to a lot of he didn't throw to backs in Tampa. But you look last year too. That's not really an Arians thing either. Aaron likes to get the ball.
Yeah, I never know. It's hard to judge. It's really hard to judge. Is this the player who just is bad like that?
It's tough.
Yeah, you don't know until you see it play itself out. I don't know, and I don't know. I have seen Leonard Fournette have games where he caught a lot of passes, so I'm just not sure on that front. I will say this. I mean, taking a look at the power rankings tool, and obviously we have to take the New Orleans side with a mild grain of salt, but I'm not going to say I really don't think the offense is that different with Winston in there. We didn't see it that different, and we certainly didn't see it bad when Teddy Bridgewater took over last year. As a matter of fact, Michael Thomas continued to smash. Kamara still had big games, and it was happening. I think Kamara versus Dalvin Cook is one of the big decisions in DFS this week that we're going to have to make. I think that Cook will be chalkier, most likely, which makes Kamara interesting in this spot. Projections-wise, I'm a little surprised. I'm not sure if this is very visible on screen for those of you watching on YouTube right now, but if you look at the power rankings tool, it shows that the Saints are projected to throw for about 333 yards, which is on the higher side of the slate. Atlanta coming in at 269, which is pretty middling for this slate. And the big red flag is on the Atlanta running game, just 66 yards. You don't want to go next to the Hurley-Gurley man in this one. I would say stay away from Todd Gurley. So, yeah, that'll wrap up that one. I think we have some exciting DFS plays, and I did bring up Olamide Zacchaeus or Zacchaeus, Olamide Zacchaeus before. He got 6 targets a couple weeks ago with Ridley out. One guy who's been a disappointment has been Gage. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah, this is a game. This is not as good a game as Buffalo, Arizona last week, but I think we have to treat it in a similar fashion, just because of the slate itself. It's a crappy slate in this game. So I'm going to be hammering this game in a similar way to what we did last week, only because I don't like these other matchups. So I think this is the game. If you're going to heavy stack, this is the game that you want to do it.
Now, there's one more player to mention, but I'm not going to mention him because I'm super interested in him in this game. But just because we had a bet on it last week, so I wanted to bring it up. The tight end Cook
Yeah,
got a 0 last week.
he did. I didn't know if that was official, but I was watching, and I'm like, I don't think he's done anything here. So, and Dwelly did catch a few passes.
We had a little bet. It's not like Dwelly destroyed the bet.
No,
but he got more than a 0.
I was making excuses mid-game. I'm like, I'm going to go on until I'm going to be like, yeah, but Breeze got hurt, and that was what I was banking on. So that was my excuse.
No,
I know. I can't really get out of it.
Not accepting that.
What was Sanders' ownership, by the way? Because that was your other one.
Miles Sanders was like 22% owned.
All right, you were right. You were right there. Then you were correct. That was Keg was.
What I don't even remember. What was that one?
I wrote it down. You said he was going to be 20% over under. So you were pretty close on that.
Maybe I'm pretty good at this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you got to learn something, right?
No, you know what it is? It's a broken clock is right at least twice a day. Dude, it's funny, my record on these little bets that we do, because John literally smokes me in like sports gambling and everything. And like, for some reason, whenever we do these little bets, they have come out my way. Just a random luck thing. All right, let's go to the next game in the core 4. I've got to put the transition up so I can find the game on the odds screen. It takes me that 5 seconds of searching. And the next one we've picked out to break down in depth, the Tennessee Titans take on the Baltimore Ravens in a rematch from last year's NFL playoffs, if you remember. Titans are coming in as 6.5-point underdogs in this game, with an over-under of 49 points. This is a home game for Baltimore, John. Now, the last time these two teams met in the playoffs, Tennessee came out. They ran Derrick Henry, I think it was 37 times. He put up 195 yards, 1 touchdown, controlled the game. They kept the football out of Lamar Jackson's hands. Lamar looked unstoppable at that point. And the Titans came out with a win. So, can they do it again? Will they do it again? Why is Baltimore favored here?
Well, Baltimore should definitely be favored in this game, and I do think
6.5 points.
Yeah, I think the line's about right. Tennessee's not very. Tennessee's just not. They're just not that good. They're pretty good offense. Defense isn't great, but Baltimore's just been. Jackson's been disappointing. Passing wise, I mean, it was shocking. He had one of his better passing games last week in the crap weather in New England. But yeah, he's not been good. I mean, I've talked about that yardage league that I'm in. I mean, he got dropped in that league. So
that's not going to do it. He should never have been played in that league.
I know it's awful. So he just hasn't been really good throwing the ball. You're going to see exactly what you said they did last year, Tennessee. I mean, that's certainly what they're going to attempt to do again. This is going to be a Derrick Henry type of game. I don't expect much out of Tannehill. I think it's Henry. If Henry gets rolling, he's going to just keep getting fed. Typical Baltimore game where it's going to be low passing yardage and whatever they get on the ground. I mean, so this is going to be a game. I think one on the ground. I don't think it's a stackable situation. I don't think you want to stack anything on the Tennessee side. I don't see anything on Baltimore that I'm particularly interested in. I think if you want to go ahead, as always, if you want to take Jackson and hope and take him as a solo play and look for him to maybe do some damage with his legs, I'm okay with that. But I do like Derrick. I like Derrick Henry here.
Always fun, John, when one of the highest games on the slate has almost no DFS significance whatsoever. And not that there's none, but there's very little. Now, going back to that playoff game, my boy A.J. Brown, who I love A.J. Brizzles, did not have a good game. Maybe 1 reception, maybe 9-ish yards or so in that game. And so that's not something I'm trying to get down with, right? The Tennessee side is going to have a difficult time completing passes. So you're right. If Derrick Henry isn't doing his thing, Tennessee's probably having a long day. On the flip side, the running game for the Ravens is disgusting. I don't want anything to do with that 4-man disastrous timeshare situation that's going on. The only I do, however, have some mild interest in a potential bounce back game from Lamar Jackson. I don't think that the Tennessee defense overall is threatening. It's not something that I ever want to stay away from. They're not very good. There's not a player on there in their secondary, for example, that you're like, oh, he's a good cover corner. I can't play this guy. There's absolutely nothing about Tennessee outside of running Derrick Henry and eating the clock to the point where the other team doesn't have the football. That's their defense. If Derrick Henry is doing his thing, then the other team just doesn't have enough opportunity to score. And so you only have to, stop a few third down plays over the course of the game, and you end the game now. That's how they win, right? They third and long, they get the stop, get the ball back. Here's another 10-minute drive. That's how Tennessee is going to win a game like this. But if Derrick Henry isn't going, and this is why I'm not going to stack this, check this out. Think about the third level thought process here, John. I don't want Derrick Henry in my Lamar Jackson stack. And I do like Mark Andrews for a bounce back. I don't mind the fucking turd that is Marquise Brown. Hasn't had one good game all season. I don't care. I don't mind it. GPP only, because we know that Lamar Jackson has the upside built into him. It exists inside of him like a Jedi with the Force. It's in you when you're born. Lamar Jackson has the fantasy force inside of him. But like what you just said, if the Titans are controlling the game with Derrick Henry, that doesn't lead to goodness from Lamar. That leads to badness from Lamar. That leads to Lamar not having the football. So I don't want to game stack it. I'll play Lamar. He's be in my mix. I wouldn't be shocked if I look at your tool stacks probabilities, and Lamar Jackson to Mark Andrews is right up there as one of the top 60-point probability stacks on the slate. I don't know if it's available right now. I don't have it up on my screen. Is it available right now?
Not yet. The stacks, I usually wait a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm saying so. Yeah, somebody's saying Andrews was the highest scoring tight end last week with 13.
Yeah, it's tight ends also awful.
Tight end. I just played Akins in cash last week. Everyone's like, why'd you play that fucking turd? I was like, I don't know. He was the cheapest guy that I thought might get a target.
That's what it's come to.
Yeah, it's like I'll take the 0 from the 2,500. But anyway, so that's my thought with this game. Do not stack. If you're playing Lamar, Derrick Henry, a smash game probably doesn't lead to a better productive game from Lamar. It's one of the rare times when I don't think that will correlate in a positive way across the teams. So do with that what you will. I don't think you could play the passing attack from Tennessee. I don't really like the rushing attack from Baltimore. What a weird core 4 game where I don't like any of it. But I do like Lamar Jackson as a standalone piece with Andrews, and I do like Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is going to be sneaky. Let's throw this out there, John, before I move on to the next game. What do you think ownership will be? Again, with the shiny star pointing to Kamara and Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, a little bit cheaper on DraftKings, almost the same on FanDuel. Very bad play. What do you think the ownership will be on Henry?
I think he's going to be 10 to 13%, something like that.
That's where I'm at with it. I think it's going to be 9 to 12-ish, so same exact range. No one's going to play Henry. Makes him very interesting as a tournament play.
Well, we'll talk about this more on the Wolfpack when we get deeper into lineup construction and things like that. But I'll just leave it at that. This is what we talked about in the beginning of the show. So start comparing other guys that you were talking about who are going to be high ownership and start figuring out what you think the probability is of that. Use the prop tool. Use the damn prop tool. I use it all the time for this reason. Go on the prop tool. Obviously, you're not going to get anything now. They come up Saturday, Sunday. Go on the prop tool and just look at the top, when you want to start comparing the backs and see what they're projecting, what the Vegas total is on, receiving yardage and obviously rushing yardage, receptions for these top backs. You could do the numbers and figure out what the, what they're projecting on touchdowns. And then you can figure out the probability that one guy is going to be better than the other. So yeah, someone may be projected higher Kamara, for instance. But Henry is not going to be. You're not going to lay 2-1. If I was betting you, I'm not. And I gave you 2-1 on Henry beating Kamara. You're gonna take Kamara. You're gonna take Henry all day long at that price, and that's what you're right. And that's what they're giving you in these tournaments sometimes.
That's right. But yet we'll have 3 times the ownership on the chalk guy than we are on the guy who's probably just like, this guy's got a 30% chance or 20% chance to smash. The other guy's got a 14% chance. But yet the 20% guy is 35% owned. The other guy's 10%. It doesn't level out, which is how you get leverage in the large field. Just to answer your question, Raymond, Willie Snizzles, man, I don't want to chase a big game. You don't want to. That's not the guy whose big game you want to chase the next week. He is a thing. He's playing a bit, but no. You could play him in your Lamar Jackson stack, but he's not a chasey kind of player. It's pretty uncommon for him to have like 2 good weeks in a row, not to mention like 2 good weeks in a season. So I'm not chasing that. All right, real quick, before we move on to the final Core 4 game, I want to again mention that for you guys who are watching this, if you can do us a solid, like this video, subscribe to the channel, let people know that you're watching the Geeks Vegas Line Show, fucking tweet this shit over to SiriusXM Fantasy. Be like, why are these guys not on your channel? That'd be great. But even if you don't want to do that, give us a like, hit subscribe to the channel. It gets the word out that we're doing this show every week. It's one of the very few public shows that we do at DFS Army, and that's free. And I know our DFS Army subs hate that we do anything to the public, but we do have to put the word out that we're here kicking ass, giving great advice. We want you to come subscribe to DFS Army and start competing with us, not against us. When you're with us, you're family. When you're against us, you're the enemy. We're coming at you. So join the team, dfsarmy.com, sign up as a VIP. You can use my promo code GEEK. You get a 20% off discount right now. We are going into the hot part of the NFL season. And of course, the data is really, really great now. We're going to be, all of our data is like the best it's going to be. We've got real trends that we can count on. And of course, we're starting to get ready for NBA already. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So a lot of DFS action going on over at DFS Army. All right. Let's move on to the next game in the Core 4. I'm telling you guys, it wasn't the easiest to pick out the 4. That's what makes this week so exciting for DFS purposes, because there's going to be a lot of games we can pull players from. The next one John and I picked out to dive in deep with is the Patriots heading out to Houston in the Dome to take on the Texans, 48.5 point total with the Patriots as 2-point favorites. Now, John, the Patriots almost lost to the Jets. I mean, this is the bottom of the barrel situation here, just teams-wise. The Patriots almost lost to the Jets. They're not that good. They're in position to make the playoffs, but they're not a very good team. They're taking on a Texans team that has been destroyed by the run all season. The Patriots want to run the football, so there's that. Road favorites, anything stand out here? 48.5 point total. Patriots defense not as vaunting as it once was.
Yeah, I don't love the game. If you're into teasers, though, I like teasing Houston up in this game. Take it up to 8.5 points, and then figure out another game that you like with it. Just kind of, I'd have to scroll through, but that's definitely a teaser that I like. I don't like the game so much, so I won't be playing this game straight up. Yeah, I mean, boy, if this is our Core 4, I don't even want to see what the other. You know
what? I love it. I fucking love it. I want weeks to be like this. I have a hard time looking at the shiny toy. I see the chalk. I go to it like a moth to a flame. I will go straight to chalk game. Now I can diversify, and I like it. I prefer it this way.
I've had better weeks. When it's hard, I've had better weeks. So I'm llooking forward to this week. I like when it's a little bit of a struggle to make a lineup. When it's too easy, they just tend to be tough weeks for me. So I'm hoping for a good week here. In this game, again, tricky. As far as I don't want to get too heavy on the stacks. New England running game looks great. I got it projected for 200 yards, but guess what?
Who?
It's the same story. Who the hell you don't know who the hell to play. And part of that yardage, of course, is Cam when they use him. And he's just having Cam there has hurt the running backs as well, because Cam gets his scores down by the goal line as well. So he vultures a few of those touchdowns. It's not a good situation. If you look at the projections, I mean, this is, as far as yardage goes, we're looking at sub 200 yards for New England. Houston potentially with Watson, but I don't love that situation either. We've got to play somebody this week, so I'm going to have to mix in a few of these stacks. But I'm going to have to look at it harder all week. I think for sure this is a week that just looking at the lines and the point totals looks more like a week that we've had in years past. This doesn't look like a 2020 week. This looks like a 2019, 2018. So maybe we've got to start reverting back to what was working then, which was, running backs being, the running back situation this year has been awful. So many of the chalk running backs, we're so used to wide receivers failing us at chalk. This year, it's been the running backs failing us at chalk. Tight ends have been just non-existent. It's been awful. So, and we've seen a lot of these 4-man stacks lineups really be the way to go. I think my best lineups last week were even 5-man stacks from that Arizona game. So this is a game where, can we stack it? I guess, but let's only go with one pass catcher on each side and no more than that.
Pass catchers are tricky, but what I do like, I have a different take on this game. I have a hard time trusting Cam Newton ever. I have like a very cognitive bias thing going on, where I just never trust Cam Newton. I'm just going to be straight up about it. I watch him play and I think that he sucks. And then then I watch him he's wearing a fez in the fucking post-game presser. And I'm like, this is not a serious person. And then I just can't trust him. And it's something, John, that I'm working on. I'm trying to get past it. But I do have this in me. I'm in therapy about it. I've had discussions. And I don't know how to get past it. It's really difficult for me personally. But I do like some things about this game. And the first player that jumped out to me across the board is the law firm Jacoby Myers. All right? This guy is nicknamed the law firm. That's his nickname. Did I invent it? I don't know.
I mean, they had to name him Jacoby on purpose.
Am I coining that right now, or is this like
no? This has been it has been used. That has been used before.
Always. Okay. Whatever. The law firm, 98% snap count, 41% target percentage. This guy is coming off of multiple 10 plus target weeks in a row. He clearly looks like the best wide receiver on the Patriots and the most talented guy. Certainly better than N'Keal Harry, who's just this guy who like sucks. Sorry. And I think Damiere Byrd I have a little bit of interest in him in the dome. Could catch a deep ball here. GPP special every single week for cheap. Out there getting 72% of the snaps with about a 14% target share. Not bad on the season. So Jacoby Myers, I think he's cash viable. It's in a dome.
Yeah, 4,900. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's the guy, right? We want the law firm in our lineups, and he's probably going to be in my cash lineup this week because I just love the volume. At running back, I can almost think, maybe it's not as I don't think it's as mysterious as we think. I think it's Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris is the guy. The problem with Damian Harris is he's Sony Michel. He's only getting rushing plays up the gut. But my goodness, this is a bad run defense for the Texans. And so if the Patriots are going to lean on the run, you do have to at least wait, is he 5,700?
Yeah.
Oh, that ruins it. So that ruins it a little bit.
You got James White's 4,200. He's he's going to catch passes. It's a different story. Yeah, it's not the running of ball.
And then you got Burkhead, kind of Burkhead.
40.
Burkhead got more passing game work than White last week. So I like Burkhead more than for 4,600. Maybe Burkhead's the best play here. There's not a lot of volume to count on.
they were handing the ball to Harris a ton and then giving Burkhead the touchdowns. I mean, that's the frustrating thing with New England. I mean, it's just you can't get one of their guys to bust out because you never know what he's going to do, who's getting the goal line. Then, like you said, all of a sudden Burkhead's out there running, and what was it, Myers to Burkhead on that trick play. I mean, just wacky shit that they
get weird. They're getting weird over there. But you do have to acknowledge, and we have to acknowledge that the Texans have a very, very poor run defense, and that's the most likely way that the Patriots are going to attack them, because the Patriots are really good at attacking opponents' weaknesses. It's just we want to play. I want to play Harris, but man, it's kind of hard to play him if they're going to price him up on DraftKings. I want to play Burkhead, but my goodness, that guy doesn't get a lot of volume. So it is very, very tricky. On the Texans side of things, we're going to get chalk across a couple of different players, and I want to bring those guys up as well, John. Number one, once again, Duke Johnson, the Duke of ruined lineups, is congregating as a potential chalk piece this week. If you look at a projection system, and we could look at mine, we can look at ours, we can look at anybody's, Duke is the top guy. Uh-oh. Not again. Now, we have the same scenario as last week. The Texans just don't produce great fantasy performances from the running back position. I think this game is probably a slightly better matchup for Duke Johnson, but they didn't throw to him at all last week. Not at all. I don't know what the hell happened. They don't throw to their fucking running back, and it's weird. So I don't know if we could trust Duke again, but he's going to be high owned, and he's going to be chalky, and he stands out as the highest projected running back currently by value. The whole top three look pretty gross to me. So there's that. And then the flip side at pass catcher, I don't know if Stephon Gilmore is going to be back. Guys in chat, let me know if we know anything about Gilmore coming back. But I think if Gilmore is in for this game, he'll be on Will Fuller, which should make Brandon Cooks even more exciting than he already has been in terms of a cash playable guy with high volume expectation in a game where I just don't think the Patriots defense is that good anymore. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots defense is not that strong. I'm not that heavy on, not that excited about this Houston offense. I think they've been disappointing to me. Obviously I'm going to have a little bit of it. I do think it's a good match. I don't know what's going on, like you said, with
I got to check.
Back. As of now, like I don't have him in on what I'm looking at, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not playing. But Fuller's got a good matchup against McCourty, if that's the matchup. It's a favorite. It's a favorable matchup for Fuller. But
Cooks has the ideal matchup. If Gilmore's out, McCourty's on Fuller, and McCourty is a good player, and he's actually the kind of size player that will do well against a Fuller because he's kind of a string beat. He's long. You got who's on Cooks at that point? Brandon Cook's been getting 12, 14 targets a game here. That's the guy.
Well, if he's in, then it's going to be maybe Jackson, who's
that's the guy. That's who you want to attack. Listen, this is a team that the Jets tore up in the past. The Jets passed well against this Patriots defense.
Baltimore, we were talking about that before. I mean, Jackson hasn't done anything passing the ball. He had a decent passing day in the shitty weather.
That's what I'm saying. Like this,
so it's potentially there, but I'm still not. I'm not.
We're gonna bring you
super
around.
Excited about it. No, listen. I'm gonna have shares of the game because I gotta have somebody. I can't put 100% on the Atlanta game. So I'm gonna have pieces of it. I'm not excited about it.
What about playing Cam Newton? Because I have the issue. I cannot see normally with somebody else to tell me what to do.
Right now, I'm going to probably not be using Cam this week as of right now. So if I was making a lineup right now, I have no Cam in.
Here's the fear. Here's my fear with Cam. The Patriots lean on the run.
Did you watch that game?
Not Cam.
Did you watch the game? What was it, Sunday night?
Yeah, of course.
I thought his mechanics looked really odd.
He always looks like that.
I know he looks odd, but he looked worse.
No, he always looks at this. He's spending a lot of time. Did you see the Fez? This is a guy who has a lot more energy and effort going into the outfit than it does in football preparation, and it shows on the field. He's not going to be with the team next year. He's probably not going to be in the NFL next year. Sorry to break it to you guys. Nice guy, I'm sure. He will not. I'm predicting that Cam Newton will be out of the National Football League next season. That's what I think. I don't see a guy who's out there really that's going to help teams win games anymore. He's just finished as a player. But he did have a pretty decent game. Again, he can throw, and he can. Again, I'm going to play Jacoby Myers anyway, because if you're going to pepper my boy with 14 targets against this Texans defense, I don't give a shit how bad your accuracy is. You're gonna you're gonna hit a few passes. Like, you can't not. But he's
their receivers aren't good other than Myers. I like Myers too. I'm just not going to get. I don't really want to be over the market though. I don't want to get crowd. I don't want to be like 25%. If you're sitting 10-15%, I'm okay with that.
No, with Jacoby, I think he's cash playable.
Because of the price, and you've got you should have a pretty good floor there. But thinking about tournaments, I don't want to get too crazy. The 30 points that we're looking for out of a wide receiver is going to be difficult.
I like the outfits, Chris. It's not that I don't enjoy the outfits.
Yeah, the outfits great.
I just don't want my quarterback spending more time concentrating on that than I do learning the opposing defense.
It's the problem with my golf game. Like, I'm more concerned about the outfit than I am.
Yeah, I mean,
my chipping. So
when you're wearing the giant yellow socks and tucked into the pants and the whole, the checker red and I've seen your golf outfits, and they're spectacular. But your golf game suffers.
It does.
Because if you're going to concentrate on that, I get it.
But the thing is, if you want, what the outfit that you wear is going to look good all day, so it's going to compensate for the shitty shots that you hit.
I get kicked
that's my theory.
That's my theory. Like, I'm the polar opposite. I've gotten kicked off the course. They're like, you can't wear that fucking V-neck shirt on a golf course, and I'm like, the fuck's wrong with a V-neck? And they're like, first of all, you look like a freak. Second of all, you got to wear a collar over here. I'm like, this is discrimination.
Well, you got to go down to Brooklyn and Staten Island and play them.
No, they don't give a shit what you want. I'm on the golf club. I'm on the fucking country club over here with the fun. I live on a country club. They don't let me on the golf course because of the V-necks.
At Brooklyn, you got to wear jean shorts and a wife beater, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you can wear a wife beater, and Marine Park.
Yeah, Marine Park golf course, man.
Golf course. That's like 3.
I'm criticized. The golf course, by the way, is actually in phenomenal shape. Marine Park, they've done a great job with it. Yeah, they've done a really nice job over there. If you're in New York,
who knew that there was such a giant patch of grass? In Brooklyn. All right, that does it for the core 4. Now we will get to part 2, where we do what I call the lightning round. Part of the challenge for me in the lightning round, John, is I'm supposed to remember all the core 4 teams and which ones to skip. So let's see how that goes as we go through each of the remaining games and try to see if we could figure out some DFS or betting angles. So here we go. The lightning round. John, this game almost could have made the core, except I don't really know who the hell the starting quarterback is going to be for the Panthers. It's really not a game that we have full information about at this moment, but I do think some chalk pieces are going to come out of it, specifically in the run. So we've got the Lions for taking on the Panthers. Panthers are favored by 1.5. I don't know if that's going to last. Let's find out who the quarterback is going to be for the Panthers. But the Panthers are at home. So 47.5 point total. And again, Teddy KGB Bridgewater might not play here. Could get the backup quarterback in for the Panthers. Couple of interesting situations happening in this game, John. But I'm not even going to ask you about the lines. I don't believe the line that's on screen is real. I don't think we'll know. I'm sure it's off the board. So we're not even talking about the betting angle. There's no betting angle to deal with. We're not looking at probably what is the correct line for the game. But what I want to ask, all right, on the Panther side, Mike Davis is shaping up as a potential chalk play, currently projected for over 30% ownership on the slate. We all saw the Lions get destroyed by the running backs from Washington. Washington being a team that is very, very run focused and very running back focused overall. They're very, very aggressively targeting their running backs just in the game, in the passing game. That's how they play. So we've got Mike Davis, who's coming off a game where he really didn't have as much work as was expected, lost some carries to Curtis Samuel, lost some other carries to some other dude who's a running back on the team whose name I can't remember. On the flip side of this game, and of course we have the Panthers pass catchers who we normally like, and I would love in this game, except I don't know if I could trust them with backup quarterback X playing for the Panthers. And backup quarterback X, I'm not going to say his name because A, I can't remember who the guy is, and B, we don't know anything about him, so it might as well just be backup player X. We don't know anything about. I think his name is like PJ something or another.
He was the MVP in the XFL. I was playing him in XFL.
All right, so all right, tell me about him. He throws, he runs. What does he do?
I mean, there weren't too many XFL games, and I did have that one bad beat that I won't go into. But yeah, he. I don't know what to expect. Yeah, it's a tricky situation because this is a game that I would really like with Bridgewater in here. This is another game I think you want to start smashing. Going to be a little lighter on the game stacking, of course, the Carolina side. But I think Davis now coming off of that really bad week, and he hasn't had a good week here in a while. Of course, we had CMC was back for briefly in that run, but he's been terrible now for quite a few games in a row. And yet they're jacking, and they jack the price up. This is the most expensive he's been. So it's almost telling me that this is a Davis week. I like the matchup. Price again a little higher than we really would like, but I'm bullish Davis here this week.
All right, let me give my point of view on Davis. And I'm just going to make it. And I'm more interested in the other side of this game for the running. But I'm going to give you my quick point of view on Davis. If Davis is going to be 38% owned on this slate this week, if the ownership projection is correct, I will have zero exposure to Mike Davis. I don't see any reason to dive into that chalk pool to that extent. If you were going to tell me that I can get Mike Davis at 5% owned coming off a dud, then I'm interested. I will not play Mike Davis if he's over 30% owned, if he's projected for over 30%. It's as simple as that. And I already saw the chalkiest person in all of DFS advice put out Mike Davis as one of their top plays, which is telling me that, and happily, that he might end up as the chalk, and I fucking hope he does. So that's what my point of view is. I don't want 38% owned Mike Davis. If that's going to be the case, not interested. But if he's going to be, because right now, John, you're sitting here and you didn't look at the ownership projection, right? You're just like, it's going to be a good spot for a bounce back. And everybody's thinking that, right? But if that elevates ownership, wow, it's a great matchup. By the way, this is the Mike Davis who gets a 100 on our rating system. Like, you couldn't ask for a higher rating. Like, it's as good as it gets. It's the worst run defense in the league. Everything points to Mike Davis. Fine. But when I look at his usage last week, I've got serious problems. They don't have anybody else on that team, John. And if you look at his usage last week, it just wasn't. Oh, I should have brought that up, but it just wasn't that good. 52%. Who the fuck was out there? They got somebody else coming in. Rodney Smith for 20%. So he wasn't the bell cow that I thought he would be last week, and that bothers me. And my general thought is, fuck this guy. I won't play it.
I'm going to take a shot. So I think that ownership's a little high. I think we'll see as the week goes. I think that projection, I should say, is a little bit high, but
I feel like it's very high, and I don't think it's going to hold there. He's projected 30, 37.
Because the price is high. So I think you're looking at something in the 20-25% range. I think that's where he's going to wind up. But we'll see when I start making lines. Sometimes it's hard to do that when you're not making when you're not specifically making lineups because of but with the games this week, I don't feel like I don't think he's going to be up at that 40% range.
It seems really high to me too. So that's skewing my thought process on it. If that does change, I might change my approach. The guy I do love, and he's on the other side of this game, is DeAndre Swift, a.k.a. D Swizzles, because DeAndre does not seem to be a fluke. He seems to be taking over and getting the bell cow lead back role for the Lions for the first time ever. They seem to be doing that. He had a 72% snap share last week, 76% of the rushes, with 16% of the, Adrian Peterson, Mr. Revenge Game narrative, going to show them they shouldn't have cut me last week. Adrian Peterson only got 19% of the rushes, only got 11% of the snaps. That's what I'm about. Give Swift the ball. Pleasure. Season Long says, it's his other nickname. His DJ name. He was a DJ.
What was the DJ name?
Pleasurehead. Season Long says was like, if you went to raves, he was a raver DJ, like headliner. Like he would go all over the country as DJ Pleasurehead.
The next time I pop on a podcast, I'm just gonna have glow sticks in my mouth and not say anything.
My! If you do that, he's gonna feel so at home. He's like, let me throw my beats on, and he's like, don't, all that. So anyway, Pleasurehead. Season Long says picked Swift as the far and away number one talent coming out of the draft, well over Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jonathan Taylor. That is just documented, right? And so he called me up and he's like, dude, I told you about the fucking Swift, man. He's better than all these guys. And here it is playing out in front of our eyes. The Lions finally waking up to the fact that that's the best player on their team right now. And that's certainly the guy who gives them the best over a fucking 48-year-old Adrian Peterson who can only slow as molasses. There's no reason to play that guy. And they're finally figuring it out. So if you're if you're the coaching staff for the Lions, my goodness, people, give your fans something to appreciate you for. And that's playing more DeAndre Swift. So I really like this spot for Swift. I don't know about the rest of this game, to be honest. I think it's a good spot for all of the Lions. I mean, the Panthers are just a bad defensive team. You can make an argument for Marvin Jones Jr. You can make an argument for who's the other guy that broke out a little bit over there? I guess Marvin Hall. Is that a big game or two for this team? Quintez Cephas got a lot of targets or got a lot of playing time last week. So there are a few little spots of interest on the passing game for the Lions. But for me, the biggest piece of this game that I'm excited for is DeAndre Swift, and much more so Swift than Mike Davis for me. Let's move on to the next game in the lightning round. That didn't feel like a lightning round. That kind of felt like
that was core 4.5.
Yeah, that kind of felt like a full breakdown. But I think that the only reason that game kind of wasn't in the core 4 is because there's no actual projection for it. So that might be a core game to build around, at least the running game.
Yeah,
and maybe if that quarterback is super cheap, maybe we'll punt with him. If we get a 4K quarterback.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna watch some shares in that game. I agree with you on Swift. I didn't talk much about Swift, but I agree with you there.
I love Swift. All right, let's go to the next game in the lightning round. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Jaguars. Steelers road 10-point favorites. Now, my boy Jim Coventry from SiriusXM radio, and I'm gonna drop a name. He's a great dude. Came on the the Bowl Calls podcast a couple weeks ago. He was doing it was the Steelers game. Maybe it was last week's game where they were heavy favorites. And he came out and said, listen, this is a Steeler team that just does not win by 10 points. They just don't. They always play down to their competition, especially on the road. So from a trends basis as a bettor, once again, we've got the Steelers as massive favorites. Have you heard or observed the pattern with the Steelers kind of not covering these giant spreads on the road over the years? And should we be looking at the Jaguars in this spot?
It's been a thing with Roethlisberger throughout the road. His road numbers haven't been as good, and betting against them on the road has been a thing. You're getting the 10. If you're getting the 10.5 right now, I do like that number on the Jacksonville side. I know that you're looking at a lot of 9s and 10s, but if you can get that 10.5, especially, so check your book. I really like it.
Go to this one. I should memorize what these are. I think that's like Bet 360 or something. I don't know.
It tells you about. So here's.
Oh, does it
look at the link? No. Go up to.
Yeah, but I got to click
over it. No, look at the link on the bottom left.
Bet America, guys. By the way, if you're going to bet on games, if you're going to bet on props, go to the tool, the live odds tool on DFS Army. I don't care if you're a subscriber. This is open to everybody. Go to the live odds tool. Compare the odds before you bet. Pick your state. Compare the odds. Always get the best line. That will make you a more successful sports bettor than anything else. Don't even follow advice. If you just get the best line and you just compare all of these and you get the best line and look on the screen, they're always different across these different books. They are not the same at every book. When you're ready to place a bet, if you pick the place with the best line, you will become a profitable gambler over time, or much more profitable than you are right now. If you suck, you suck. But I mean, doesn't matter. That move alone will skew about a 5% difference to your favor. Now, let's get into this one, John. So I want to bet. You're saying don't bet the Steelers. Well, don't bet the Steelers. All right, we don't bet the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers. Giant favorites. They tend to play down to their competition level. Now, beyond that, are there any pieces in this game for DFS purposes? I know the Steelers defense is not one to be trifled with generally. Jaguars kind of floundering team, hoping to get, a high draft pick this year. They don't seem to be putting much effort into winning. So any angles here that look interesting for you on the DFS side?
I think, if you like Jacksonville, which I do in the game, I probably like this game to go under as well. If it goes Jacksonville, you could not be sure, but I think the game goes under. So if Jacksonville covers this game, we're looking at a game of, this is a 24-17 type of game, 20-14, something like that. If Jacksonville's going to be in this game, and if that's the case, then there's really probably not going to be a whole lot to play on either side. We typically don't. We really don't want to go against Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville doesn't have the offense where you're going to say, we got to play them anyway. So I'm going to pretty much punt the Jacksonville side of this game. Don't like it at all. The question then just becomes how heavily you want to be involved on the Pittsburgh side of this game. And I really don't want to be, because I'm trying to look at every scenario. It's a 10-point favorite. Obviously, they're supposed to win this game by 10. There's the potential for a blowout. If it's a blowout, do we really get a lot of points from Pittsburgh?
Maybe.
If the game is possibly, I don't know. If the game gets out of hand early, that's not going to be the case. We're probably not going to want to have Roethlisberger. He's probably not going to do a whole lot if the game is out of hand early. The way these games tend to be, you're going to get a lot of points is a tight game that's high scoring. I think that's unlikely here. So I think you're going to get a tight game that's low scoring, or you get Pittsburgh wins this game fairly easily. So I don't like it as a game stack at all. If you're going to use, I have no problem. You can use some Roethlisberger here, but I'd tread lightly, and then possibly you could use Connor or something like that. But I don't love this game. I wouldn't go too heavily. I wouldn't be too heavily involved in this game.
Don't use Connor.
I'm just saying if you want to use a piece.
I don't love so looking at this game. Listen, Deontay Johnson's my guy. He's my guy every week. The Steelers do want to throw the football a lot. They just do. They want to throw it. And, even in a game like last week when they probably should have been a smash game, you still saw 10 targets for Connor. You saw about 10 targets. They only throw to the 3 guys, which is great. So, you're getting like 10 targets for Juju, 10 for Connor, 8 for Claypool, a couple rushing plays. So like they have a very condensed offense. They're not really throwing to the tight end very much. And they're really the reason that those wide receivers are getting all those receptions. And this is why I said don't play Connor. They're not throwing to James Conner. They're just not. The superpower of the run game for the Steelers over the last 15 years, over the entirety of the Ben Roethlisberger era, has been they throw to the running back a lot. But I believe, and this is just my guess, John, that Chase Claypool has replaced the running back as the guy they want to throw to in those sort of situations. Claypool also gets a couple rushing plays. I just think kind of they're just using Claypool in the role. What you're seeing, though, for sure, is they're not using James Conner in the role. The Terminator's passing game role has been terminated for no particular reason, he can catch the football. But I want to show you this on screen before we jump to the next game. But I mean, Connor, he's 8% target share, 4% last week. These numbers are just not good enough to produce a great game. And he's only getting, even if he gets 65% of the rushes, which is great, he needs 2 touchdowns to pay off with no passing game role. Can he get 2 touchdowns in this matchup? Absolutely. But if you want to bet that, my suggestion is to jump onto one of the books using the prop finder tool over at dfsarmy.com/prop finder and bet it, because you could probably get like plus 700 odds on Connor scoring 2 touchdowns. And that's what he needs in order to really smash for his salary. So for me, I don't love the play that much. I'd rather play Deontay or Chase Claypool. I don't love that they raised the price over on DraftKings on the trio of wide receivers. You can still get them all really cheap on FanDuel, and that's probably where I'm going to be most excited to play this group. But I'm going to stick with the pass catchers, even in a bad game script, because I just think they throw a lot in Pittsburgh, and they'll continue to throw a lot no matter what's going on in the course of that game. I don't like anything on the Jaguars. Nothing. Yeah, James Robinson is a no. I'm not playing anything on the Jaguars side.
Juju is going to be their highest scorer this week. So just let
there it is. Why Juju?
I like the matchup.
Okay, so you're checking matchups in the background.
Yeah,
Juju, the John special on this game. Statsational likes Juju. I love it. All right. Next up in the lightning round, we've got the Eagles taking on the Browns. I like this game, John. 47-point total, 3.5-point spread. Browns are favored. The Browns want to run the football. The Eagles want to throw. We've got essentially what is strength on weakness going on for both of these teams. Does anything stand out here from a betting perspective? 47-point total, 3.5-point spread.
For me, I'm not going to be betting the game. The Cleveland side's where slightly it's nothing significant. We're getting a little bit more money on the Cleveland side of this game. Yeah, I mean, Cleveland, I think the record looks a little bit better than the team. I had some more high hopes for Cleveland this year, but I mean, record's still good, so they could do it. But I just don't think
they're running the football.
Yeah,
they can't seem to throw.
No,
doesn't seem to matter. Playing pretty good defense, and that's how they're winning games. And they're also playing against bad opponents, which is helpful.
Yes, pretty good schedule. Yeah, again, I mean, from a passing standpoint, I mean, just forget it. Mayfield's not going to do anything for you. They're not just X out the passing game as far as I'm concerned on Cleveland side. Yeah, running the ball though, they should be pretty good here in this spot. So I'm going to assume you like Sanders this week.
I mean, I like Sanders. I'm a little shell shocked after last week, looking at the box scores, and I see that Boston Scott winds up, getting the touchdown, and some other scrub comes in and gets a touchdown. It's like, hey, what about my boy Miles Sanders? But then when you look at the actual results of the game, and let me jump over to it here, because it's not like anything changed. Boston Scott was a 26% snap count. That's nothing unusual. That's kind of what you expected. So it's like Sanders got 71% of the rushes. That's fine. He got 71% of the snaps, 65% of the running game work, and 14% of the targets. All of those things are fine.
Yeah, the Scott touchdown I didn't see it, but from what I heard, it should not have been a touchdown, which probably would have given Sanders the touchdown.
It screwed me.
So, it's just one of those, those luck things.
So, but you know what I'm saying? I do want to go right back. I do want to go right back to him, but I like a lot on the Eagles side of this game. I think it's surprisingly juicy for DFS purposes, because no one's going to be on it. Now, again, the weather's been weird in Cleveland. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All these games, weird weather, but and again, Cleveland being a control the ball with your running game, that's never the fastest paced team in the world. So we have to pay attention to that. But overall, now we have Travis Fulgham, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders. I like everything about the Eagles in this game. All of them. Every player. I think they're all individually a good play. I just do. It's a close game. Yes, it's on the road, but there's nothing I don't like. I can't knock Fulgham. I love Goedert. I like Rager. All of it. I like it all. I don't like, you know who I like on the Cleveland side? I think it's almost impossible to play Chubb or Hunt at this point. They're both really weirdly priced for their roles. I get that they both get a lot, but I mean, I just can't do it again. But I do like Austin Hooper in this spot, 3,900 against an Eagles defense that is producing. They're ranked 32nd against tight ends. So clearly they've been torched by tight ends. And I want to go back to Hoops because every tight end sucks anyway. So might as well have a reason.
Yeah, we're getting Goddard cheaper. I think Goddard's $100 cheaper than.
Yeah,
you like him better. Right? You like Hooper better than Goddard?
No, I like them both. I told you I like them both. I don't know if I like one bet. This is not where I want to make our bet.
I'm not looking to make a bet.
Could we do a bet? I'll do one with you, but it would be, for me, if we're going to do one, it would be Davis versus Swift. But I don't know if you want to.
No,
do that.
I don't like that. Yeah, because
I'm not going to force you into one. Too. Yeah, I want you to believe in it.
Yeah, no. I believe in all of them that I lose.
But anyway, I like everybody on the Eagles side of this game. I really do. And I just, it's the Cleveland side. I can't deal with Hunt and Chubb given a 50-50 split. That's not for me. I just don't like it. I get that they smash every week when they play together. Taco's saying that, if you're in the Great Lakes region, it's just always windy and gross. And that's just life in Cleveland. Life in Cleveland, man. I don't want to get into it. We got a lot of Browns fans here. So
we do. We got a lot of Cleveland people.
I love my Brownies, man. I love my Brownie fans. All right. Let's move on to the next.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, no, I'm not going.
My college roommate's a big Cleveland Browns fan, so it's easy.
We got a lot of Brownie fans here. Yeah. I go on a show in Cleveland once in a while, and they all want to hear about the Browns. But if you say anything bad, you do not get positive reactions. All right. Next up,
I follow you on that show, and then you're usually late.
Yeah.
They're like, Geek's running his mouth. I'm like, all right,
I was just told by Bobby Wow and Josh DFS up north that I talk too much on the showdown pods, and they'd like to cut them down. I said no, I can't help myself. All right, next up, and I hope you guys can hear me because I see John frozen on my screen. Can't tell. In the lightning round, can you guys hear me? I hope so. Next up in the lightning round, we got the Bengals and Washington at Washington, with the Bengals coming in as 1.5 point underdogs with a 46.5 point spread. Oh. Looks like we lost John, but guys, if you're out there, can you in the comments just make sure that you can hear me so that I can continue what I'm doing here, not sounding like an idiot. Okay, there we go. All right, good. I'm just making sure. I saw him frozen too. I just want to make sure I'm not frozen. So we've got the Bengals, we've got Washington, 46.5 point total, 1.5 point spread, and actually, guys, this is a game that I'm very excited about on the Washington side. It seems like a turd. I like a lot of things going on in this game, but on the Washington side, J.D. McKissick coming off of a 14 target and 15, like a pair of games, something's changed with his role on the team. Taco says Washington defense all in. I'm totally down with that. Washington defense has been smashing on a week over week basis. And let me show you Washington defense. Just, you're right. Taco is correct. What do they even? I don't even know how to. Yeah, Waz football team. So they've been really great, putting up good numbers. 17, 5s. Got a couple really that are 15 in there. Solid team. Bengals give up a decent amount of fantasy points to the defense position, but Taco, when you're pairing up Washington defense. Got my boy J.D. McKissick, who is pairing up the 7. Look at the targets: 15, 14 over the last 2 games, with some rushing game work mixed in, including a rushing touchdown. This guy has been doing a lot. Now, here's the concerning part: The concerning part with McKissick is even off of 9 and 7 receptions, and a touchdown one of these games, it's not like he's destroying these slates, but he's giving beautiful numbers, and it's bound to eventually have this guy break one out. The Bengals defense, not that good, and the perfect kind of defense to attack with opposing running backs. I would say Gibson is also a really good play here. Not as much passing game work, a lot more rushing game work, but certainly a lot more touchdown equity. So Gibson and McKissick, and I want to show you guys something really cool that you might not know, but these guys are on the field at the same time. So it's not like, Gibson or McKissick. Look at the usage numbers, because this is the part that really surprised me when I was going through the numbers. Cleveland, wait, where is this game? When I was going through the numbers, what surprised me was McKissick on the field 71% of the time. Gibson on the field about 40% of the time. So they're on the field together quite a bit. Gibson's coming in, getting most of the rushing game work, but not all. It's a 50-30 split. Not bad. But McKissick gets a massively higher share of the passing game work, with Gibson coming in on the goal line. So now you might ask, why are you more interested in this pairing, both of these guys, than you are in the Chubb-Hunt pairing? And it's a salary thing for me. Basically, McKissick is like almost a better version of Kareem Hunt, where Gibson is kind of coming in playing the Nick Chubb role. The difference is, for Nick Chubb, I got to pay $7K, and he gets absolutely no passing game work. For Hunt, it's like also $7K, and here I'm getting these guys at closer to $5K on DraftKings, and that's just more interesting for me. If they were priced up in the mid sixes or sevens, I would not have very much interest at all. But I think at this price, I like these guys. Of course, every week Terry McLaurin is a strong play as well, and this week is no different. I think for the Bengals side of this game, can we go to Gio if Mixon is out again? I think yeah, we could probably go back to Gio in this one. I didn't play him last week. I didn't like the matchup. This one's a little bit better, but Washington defense is really, really good. That won't stop like a T. Higgins or a Tyler Boyd or an AJ Green, who's way underpriced here at 3,600, from having a decent game. So I do like the pass catchers for the Bengals as standalone pieces as well, although I'm not sure I'm going to be looking to stack Joe Burrow. It's so quiet in here without John. All right. Let's go back to the lightning round. We're getting towards the end here. We've got the Dolphins taking on the Broncos. The Dolphins coming in as 3.5-point favorites on a game with a 45-point total. Now, I'm not going to give you betting angles. That's not my place, but kind of like the Dolphins in this spot a little bit. I like what the Dolphins have been doing. Their defense. Now, Taco, if you're out there, Dolphins defense, that gets me excited. I'm not a fan of Drew Lock. I don't think he's very good. So the Dolphins defense in this spot, I'd rather have home defenses than road defenses, but I don't mind Dolphins defense here. Tua has not really shown that he can produce great games from his wide receivers yet, but Jakeem Grant is still dirt cheap, and he's a starting wide receiver for the Dolphins at 3,500. So I'm certainly going to have some interest in Jakeem Grant. Devontae Parker, cheap as well. Probably playable here, but nothing super special. And maybe the best play on the Dolphins this week might be Salah Ahmed, the starting running back in a game with his team coming in as a favorite. We like favored running backs. Ahmed got 21 carries, only one pass, only one target in the passing game. A little concerning, but 21 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown last week. Had a yeoman-like performance. Yeah, Ahmed, Miami D, Statsational. I'm assuming John lost his internet. That happened to me the other day. Listen, we cover for each other over here, my man. Miami defense stack, Ahmed, that's the perfect stack right there. You got the cheap running back. I just want to see one of the things I didn't look at before, and I guess let's take a look here together, and I'll show you kind of how I use these tools. This is how I'm breaking down these games. So for those of you who watch this, you kind of get a little sense of it. But Ahmed, only 4% passing game work, but it's not like there was some other running back that got thrown to. They just didn't throw to running backs last week. So that even Patrick Laird didn't get any passing game work. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that that Ahmed will not get passing game work, or if it means that they just don't throw to the running back, or it was just something weird that happened last game. Don't know, but I like Salah Ahmed in this spot. Stand alone. I like favored running backs always, and he got all of the work for Miami, so really good spot for him. And they must like him if they literally cut Jordan Howard for him. So they must like the guy. And it's not like Patrick Laird, who's been with the team, played, and it's not like DeAndre Washington played. So, I mean, they must like Salvon. I call him Salvon Ahmed. There we go. What about the Denver side of this game? Don't like anything. The best player on Denver is Jerry Jeudy. I don't know why, Drew Lock can't seem to get his shit together with him, but I don't think this is the spot. Probably going to see Xavier Howard in coverage. This is not the spot where I want to play these pass catchers. So I'm going to pass completely on the Denver offense. Let's go back to the live odds tool. And I think we're getting towards the end here. Broncos down. Oh, yeah, here we go. Jets, Chargers, another interesting game. Jets coming in as 47 point total with the Jets as 8.5 point underdogs. This is at the Chargers. So the Chargers finally get a home game. Now, it's very important to note that Hebert cut his hair. He does not look like an Hebert anymore. He now looks like a Herbert. And that's concerning just from an aesthetic point of view. I don't like change. I don't want to see a beard shaved mid-season. I don't like to see a haircut when you're hot, when you're playing well. None of that sits very well with me. But this Jets defense is terrible. They're terrible. So bad. They're a very bad defense. Oh, Hot Cheerios. Check this out. Hot Cheetos. Not Hot Cheerios. No fucking. By the way, Hot Cheetos, gross. I'm sorry. They are. I tried it. It's not good. I like regular Cheetos. Hate me. Don't at me. I like regular Cheerios. Cheetos. Love Cheetos. Hate the hot ones. But check this out. Check this out. The fuck was I going to say? I got confused by the Hot Cheetos thing. Jets are terrible. Oh yeah, here's what I was going to say. Hebert, he looks like a what is it going to say? He looks like like a prepubescent or like a pubescent boy now with like a crackling voice after the haircut. Some of the handsome is gone. No, Hot Cheetos are gross, bro. I'll eat a hot Dorito, but I'm not fucking eating Hot Cheetos. Nasty. Check this out. The Jets defense is terrible. They can't do anything against the pass. They don't have any good cornerbacks. So Keenan Allen, yes. Mike Williams finally has a matchup that he could beat. So yes, we can allow for some Mike Williams exposure. The best case scenario for Herbert and company is that the Jets are scoring as well. So if you want to mix in, the Jets don't have this isn't a great matchup for the Jets, but it doesn't matter because their players are so cheap. The Chargers are very good against the pass. So they haven't allowed an outside wide receiver to put up more than 60 yards all season. They've been very good against the pass, especially outside wide receivers. Hayward is one of their corners. He's elite. I don't know if he's going to be on Crowder in the slot or Denzel Mims or Bashad Perriman. I assume he's on the outside. Yeah, guys are saying this. I don't think he's going to be chalk, but I think maybe he should be. So I think maybe he should be. I like Hebert. Really strong play. Again, Keenan Allen, the primary. You've got a lot of weapons over there, though. You've got Hunter Henry. You've got Mike Williams on the outside. And finally, should we mess with the running back situation here and do a little, I'm trying to remember his name, but Myles Gaskin? No. Is that who? Yeah. Kalen Ballage. Yeah, here we go. Kalen Ballage. The oft, made fun of Kalen Ballage, former Miami Dolphin, came in last week, 18 carries, 6 targets. This is real work. Kalen Ballage is playable this week. Kalen freaking Ballage. Yeah, I love Allen too. I listen, I get you. I feel you. You got to make sacrifices. But yeah, Allen is a great play. Adams. There's a lot of great plays and some pep, and Allen is definitely on that list. But I'm gonna throw out Kalen Ballage's name. Is he an exciting player? Not super exciting, but if you're gonna throw to him, if you're gonna run him that many times, and you're going up against the terrible Jets offense, absolutely. And you can play some Chargers defense as well. So I'm not paying up 4K. This is Joe Flacco at the helm for the Jets. It's not Sam Darnold. The turnovers should be less. There's no revenge. I don't believe in those revenge game narratives, but I just like this game. I like the Chargers side of it. I think they could tear the Jets a new asshole. And I don't think that teams with their rookie quarterback are like holding back. They want to put up numbers. So he's back. Internet.
Yeah, we had a power outage, man.
There, that's Florida for you, man. It
is
good with the bad.
It happens.
We're almost done here.
I was listening to you. I had you on the phone.
Oh, there we go. All right.
So,
there we go. So I don't know if you've got any different takes here, but I really love the Chargers offense in this game against the Jets. And there are very few spots that I don't like about it. I like Keenan Allen. I like Kalen Ballage, and I like Mike Williams because the Jets don't have any sort of cornerback that can threaten.
I agree. It's just it's one of those lines that we don't necessarily like, but I do like this game. I like the Charge. I think the Jets could do a little something. I don't mind stacking this game, to be honest.
Yeah, because the Jets players are cheap. That's the nice part about the Jets. So you can get I don't know if I would pay for Jamison Crowder, but I don't mind taking like 3,600 Denzel Mims, and he'll have a decent matchup, or a Bashard Perriman, who seems to have a connection with Joe Flacco from back in their Ravens days. So there's a few spots here on the Jets that I think are totally fine. I like this game a lot. I like it more than John. This is not a week where we can say like, oh, I don't like an 8-point spread.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very because there's a problem in almost every one of these games that we can can toss out. So there's issues there, but I think that's a game, that I like I said, because you got the cheap options on the Jet side. This is potentially a game that could put you up at the top of one of these GPPs.
Yeah, and Raymond's saying like even Cam Newton looked like a professional National Football League quarterback.
Yeah,
Jets have no secondary. They're
terrible. They should be. It should be fine. I lost my. I got it. Obviously I don't have everything up, but I don't know where's my projections on that on the.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at the power rankings. So if you look at this game here, yeah, here we go. I mean, Chargers 300 yards. Jets not looking great.
Yeah, but in that situation, I don't like it. But if I like the Chargers to do it, because they're so cheap, I don't mind it. That's how I won a few weeks ago with the Mahomes lineup with Berrios. He didn't score a ton, but it was good enough because he was a 3K. He was a min-cost guy. So
again, we're dealing with Jets pieces, so we're talking about 3,600, 41.
It's a good punt.
They don't need to do much.
I will say, we talk about the mechanics of it. The punt. Well, I like a punt and play when it's part of my stack. If I can justify it being part of the stack as opposed to a one-off where you say, that's why I was talking about last week, like taking the third, not necessarily punts in that game, but in that Arizona game, if you take the third option to get yourself cheaper, the Cole Beasley piece that I mentioned, because you're, not that this game is nearly as juicy as that game was, but you're giving yourself, if I want a piece of this game, I could do it for a really cheap price, and I don't need 30 points out of a guy at some of those low prices if the Charger stack goes off. If Allen goes off with Herbert, as you said, he is now. Thank God you're going to use the real name now. So,
you heard that?
I heard that. I told you I had you on the phone, but I was just trying to get back logged in.
He can go back to being Ebert, but he's got to regrow that long, beautiful hair. Much like Samson, I'm concerned that you start making changes mid-season, you lose your superpower.
Yeah, we saw this with DeGrom, but DeGrom was good. So I'm gonna say
sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works. But we got nervous. We got nervous when DeGrom cut his hair. But
yeah, don't like that. Thoughts on famous Jameis, man? Late to the show.
We like him. That's the thoughts.
Like famous Jameis quite a bit. All right, let's go to the final game in the lightning round, I think. Unless I missed something, guys. And if I'm fallible. I'm more fallible than not. Sometimes I miss the game. Let me know. But the last game in the lightning round, we've got the Dallas Cowboys, and this is a high total game. This almost made the core 4. It could have, but it didn't. So high total game between the Cowboys and the Vikings. Vikings 7-point home favorites in the dome, air conditioned, 71 degrees. Beautiful, beautiful conditions for a high offensive output game. Now, I just had the power rankings tool open, and you can see this game. The projection here is 190 yards rushing for the Vikings. With the Cowboys, again, a lot of Dak Prescott mixed into here.
Yeah, we're getting, we've gotten to the point now where I think we've probably had just as many games without Dak as we have with. So
yeah, but the games were so proficient.
The games were crazy. Yeah, the games were crazy with Zach. So you've got to.
Zeke is not bouncing back. I don't even see his name. When I'm looking for a running back, I don't even see his name there. Like, I'm like, Zeke on the slate? Is he? Where is he? Can you find him? I don't think we're getting him. Maybe. I don't know. But Dallas looking a little bit more competent under this new. Actually, it'll be Andy Dalton.
Yeah, it's Dalton, and I think this line's a little high.
So, let's start there.
I think the line's a little high. I think
total 48.5 points. You think that's high?
I think it's a little too much in this game.
What if B. Dalton, but you can call him Books, actually plays well?
You talk about Andy Dalton?
Yeah. Oh my God!
I'm hoping for that.
I don't even see Zeke when I'm looking. He's 5K. Now we got to talk about Zeke.
Yeah. It's Zeke at 5K is interesting. I didn't realize he was down. I didn't realize he was down there. I haven't seen. Has he ever been that low?
Never.
That's why you haven't seen him.
No, he's 6,500. What are you giving me?
6,500. There he is. Yeah.
Fake news. What the fuck site are you looking at? FanDuel? What? Is he on FanDuel for 5K? That's fake news. All right. Messing us up, man. Come on. All right. Let's talk about this game for serious. Dalvin Cook is going to be one of the decision points of the season, right? He's going to be fake news, Joe Gomez. He's going to be one of the decision points of the season. Okay. 9K. You got him projected for 190 yards. Everybody wants to play him. The flip side, here's Kamara hanging out, $200 more, lots of passing game usage. You know what Dalvin Cook doesn't get? Lots of passing game. They throw to him a couple times a game, but it's not anything special and nowhere near what Kamara does. On the flip side, Kamara just does not get the volume, the rushing volume of a Dalvin Cook. He just doesn't. But he is an explosive player and he doesn't need it, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got this Cook situation we got to deal with. He's very expensive. He needs to smash, but he usually does. Dallas can't stop the run. They're on the road. One thing I've noted this season, John, and if you look back on all the games, it has held true. A player from Minnesota smashes every single week because they only feature 3 guys. So it's always one of these guys that are destroying a slate. Sometimes it's 2. But last week it was Jefferson and Thielen together. Cook didn't do that much. Other weeks it's been just Cook sucking up all the scoring for this team. But it's almost always somebody from this Vikings team. They score a lot. And this is a Cowboys team that I think might be able to make a game of it with Andy Dalton at the helm. Is it possible? Can they make a game of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they make a game of it. And I wouldn't be shocked if they win the game. So
there it is. I mean, are we interested at all in pieces from Dallas? Their passing offense is really, really cheap. You can get, at this point, CeeDee Lamb at 5K, Amari Cooper at 5,400. And your boy, who I think Dalton kind of liked, Michael Gallup, in the last Dalton games. Gallup had a couple of good games. He's all the way down to 3,700. I mean, should we ignore Michael Gallup? He did pretty good. No, it wasn't Dalton. I think it was actually, now I'm thinking about it, it was that other guy who threw to Michael Gallup a lot.
DiNucci or
I think it was
the other one?
Ben DiNucci.
DiNucci. But Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly excited on the about the passing game at Dallas, but this is such an odd week that I think you can mix in some of these pieces this week. I think someone here and one of these really low priced wide receivers is going to be in the mix. I think you're going to have a cheap wide receiver this week, or probably just one really cheap wide receiver. And yeah, I'm okay with that. Like I said, we talked about the Jets. I'm good with taking low. I can see that here. I mean, Minnesota don't go on the game last week. I mean, that Chicago offense is just atrocious. That defense, they made that defense look phenomenal. I don't anticipate this game being a shootout, but Dallas could put some points up, and at those prices, we're not necessarily looking for the game to be a shootout. It's more one. I don't really like it as a stack. I suppose you could say I don't really love it. I think it's a Cook. I think Cook smashes here.
I don't mind a secondary.
I'm good with that.
I don't mind a one-off stack. This feels
do you mind like two wide receivers, one from each side type of thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the way I like. Like if I'm looking at this game, I'm trying to do a secondary stack. Like, hey, I might get Jefferson, CD Lamb in there, some weird combo like that.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't really want to when I'm thinking stacks. I'm just thinking with the quarterbacks, and I don't really want either of these quarterbacks this week.
No, don't need the quarterback. You can't play Kirk Cousins in a game that Dalvin Cook can take over.
Right.
You don't want to play Andy Dalton. He hasn't shown any sort of ability to be good at all. So you don't want to play those guys. But, CeeDee Lamb can go off on a bad Andy Dalton day. If Andy Dalton gets 13 points and throws 54 times like he did against Arizona, CeeDee Lamb could smash with 8 receptions and 100+ yards and a touchdown, and he'll get you 28 fantasy points in that scenario with Andy Dalton still only putting up 13 for the game. So, I kind of like the, they didn't even make my sheet this week, but I'm just saying it right here on Geeks Vegas Lines. I kind of like those pass catchers. I think one of the pass catchers from Dallas will have a good game here. And I don't know who it's going to be. If I had to guess again, I'm going to go with CD, but it could be Amari Cooper. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, both the Vikings and the Vikings fans and the Cowboys fans in chat are both competing with who's got the worst secondary. Like, you should see what's going on in the chat. They're like, no, ours is worse. Ours is worse. So you've got like some of the fans for some of these teams kind of like just going back and forth with who. Both secondaries are bad, guys. There's no winner. You're all winners. They both are bad.
Yeah, I mean the matchup for Jefferson and Cousins is phenomenal. So I mean there is a scenario where they're throwing the ball, but I just think it's less likely. I do think because they like to run the ball. Zimmer's a run the ball, play defense guy.
Tournament leverage question.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really like this scenario as much, but tournament leverage. Dalvin Cook going to be 35% owned. No one's going to play Adam Thielen. No one's going to play Jefferson because Dalvin Cook's going to be 30% owned. So is it a tournament leverage play? Get a couple shares of Captain Kirk to either or both of Thielen and Jefferson. And hopefully you're going up against someone who has the Dalvin Cook lineup. And if you're right and they're wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how you smash.
I think 100% that's a viable play. I think that's a play. Like you said, from a leverage standpoint, because I like to talk it through. Is there a logical way that we get to that point? And there is, because we've been talking about the Dallas secondary is atrocious. So if they're having success in the passing game, perhaps, and see, it's gonna take two though. Dallas is gonna need to stay in the game. If they're having success passing the game, Dallas is gonna have to answer, because then they're just gonna go right to Cook. Or
even better, Dallas takes a lead.
Absolutely.
And secondarily, Dallas is somehow able to slow down Dalvin Cook, which is no easy task. They will run Cook. If the Vikings want to throw, they want to run the football. Really, the only time the Vikings are abandoning the run is if they're massively behind in a game. But even, I have to point out the Chicago game. The game was close. Chicago stopping the run, doing a very good job of controlling Dalvin Cook, only 3.2 yards per carry. They went to him 34 times. Like, this guy got volume like you could never believe. So even in a game where he was being controlled, now in that case, Chicago's not the easiest team to throw on. So you're going to keep going back to it. But, they gave him 34 touches last week, even in a game where he wasn't like smashing as a running back. So it's really hard to foresee these scenarios where like they don't give Dalvin a lot of touches. But, we can go back in his recent history and, actually, no, we can't. He smashed every fucking week. So there's really no history of him not at least playing pretty well here. But, there's a couple of 20s. I guess a 20 would be considered a dud because at 9K, you really need 27 fantasy points to even make what I would call cash value. So there's plenty of times when you didn't need. All right, let's put it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 games this week, including a very obvious game against Chicago, 4 games this season, you didn't need to have Dalvin Cook in your lineup. But on the flip side, there have been 1, 2, 3, and almost 4 games this season where if you didn't have Dalvin, you were dead. 50-50 proposition.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to be used here. I mean, because Dallas is so bad, and if you saw, I mean, he got decent yardage in that game against Chicago. So, and we know how good Chicago is because they kept pounding him. Again, that goes back to who you're playing on the other side of the offense is just as important sometimes as who you're playing on the defense. So they were going to play that game close to the vest. They know the Bears just couldn't score, so they were, so they were going to use Cook, and he just never got in the end zone. So that's always the. He's talking about you, Geek. Obviously, he's not talking about me.
I told him to bet the under, and he didn't listen, and then he didn't make the money. This is what's so great about it. I love this guy. He's the best. I said, if you think it's going to be a low-scoring game, bet the under.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you your 25 cents back that you lost in DFS.
Then he kept yelling with caps lock on instead of betting the under. I love it. So anyway, wait, I got one for you. Turd detector. What do we think of Richard Bradley and his contribution to the podcast?
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
The turd detector said Richard is a turd.
I tell you what, most guys who bet $1,000 don't cry like bitches. So
Yeah.
that's you probably didn't bet $1,000.
Definitely don't. Definitely don't believe that. Anyway, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for the Geeks Vegas Lines NFL Week 11 betting angles and daily fantasy football breakdown. As always, we appreciate your being here. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get into DFS Army and get our tools, get our advice, get all of our inside stuff, a lot of the tools that you saw on screen today, get in there, dfsarmy.com, sign up as a VIP. You can use my promo code GEEK when you sign up, and you'll get 20% off. Get in there now. We've got all sports going. John's in there. I'm in there. If you want John's sports gambling picks, his bets, tennis. Your tennis has been how is Sports Bet Army? Your tennis has been unbelievable. Like, what is your record in freaking betting? Tennis?
Yeah, the tennis record. I think I don't know, 5 out of the last 6. We hit 2 this week. The tennis is kind of winding down. So there was so we had 2 plays. What today? Monday and Tuesday. We had to play each day. That one. So yeah, the tennis has been really, really strong.
Yeah, it's been your tennis bets have been spectacular. MMA. Actually, I had my first, I would call a losing weekend in MMA in like months. On the gambling side, of course, it did help that I took down the 100K to first in MMA on Saturday. It eased the pain of being down half a unit on my MMA bets. So that was always nice. But get into sportsbetarmy.com and sign up as a VIP there as well. John, what's your promo code? Statsational.
I believe so.
Use promo code Statsational over there. You give John credit, gets a little piece of that action, and you'll get his bets and all of that good stuff. And again, we will be back for DFS Army VIPs. We will be back on Friday with the Wolfpack podcast, where we have a roundtable of our experts that break down all of the games from a DFS sort of game theory perspective. And of course, I'll be back on Saturday with the Players Club for the main slate. I also want to let you know that tonight we'll be back with a special Where My Turds At showdown breakdown, taking a look at the Arizona versus Seattle game going on tonight. I'll be joined by Bobby Wow and DFS Up North. Check that out. Make sure you've liked and subscribed to this channel if you want the great advice. Of course, I think DFS Army subs members have taken down every showdown slate this season, every single one. I can't remember one where we hadn't had somebody take one down either on FanDuel or DraftKings. We want to keep that going. We had a $500,000 winner, Bobby Wow, last week. We had a 250K. We had two 50K winners following it up. It's like crazy. It's crazy. So we told everybody on Monday on the show that we were fading Dalvin Cook in the captain spot. That worked out really well. So we have some very exciting fades for you for this Seattle Arizona game. John, I'm sure you'll be watching.
What time do you think you're doing that?
Oh, we'll probably say 8:30 my time.
Okay.
I'm working around some schedules of the other guys. I really wanted to do this with Josh and Bobby Wow because it just helps me. And if we could do it the day before, I love Bobby's takes on things as always. And Josh as well. He's just a really sharp GPP mind. So these are the best guys to really kind of listen to when we're trying to attack these single game showdowns. And again, there's a reason why we've taken them all down, aside from the fact that the Domination Station is the best tool on the market for, especially for whatever reason, for showdowns. I love the Dom Station is particularly awesome with that style and format of game. Like it's just so easy to use, and it's just so comfortable to set up your captains on there. It's really, I think, the ultimate. It's the reason why we've been taking down all these tournaments. So here comes another one tonight. Let's get at it. And for everybody else, good luck on Sunday. I hope if I can't win the tournament, I hope it's you. And same for you, John. I hope it's you. I want you to be in second place. I'm always happy to see you right there. Just like I took your boy out the other day. MMA. Didn't see.
Yeah. That was bullshit.
Didn't see you guys up there. But nonetheless, printing $100,000 bills every weekend. You can spare some for the rest of the plebs.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, so I got to hit one this week.
I got to hit one. Period. I'll be happy. Just give me one. I'll be happy. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
All right, brother.